Hello everyone and welcome. In this recording, I'm going to be speaking about this upcoming new moon in the sign of Capricorn on the 31st of December 2024. So, yes, the last day of 2024. Not astrologically speaking, but you get what I'm saying. I don't want to get into the complicated explanation of different calendars and cultures, and you get what I mean. And this, in a way, I find so synchronistic, if you will, because usually, especially in Europe and probably like United States, Canada, Australia, probably Russia as well, I imagine. On this day, people like really try and do symbolic things where get rid of everything you don't want to follow you in the new year, but also pack yourself with symbols that you do want to follow you to the new year. You want to the best wording here, and this is like so spot on. Plant a seed of intention. Now, this is like superb. This is like, how should I say, from a more esoteric alchemical perspective, couldn't be luckier than this. Why? Well, exactly the last day of the year, where so very many people automatically, by default, do certain symbolic gestures, which, again, by default means the spirit is a bit more there than usual. And then the very symbols they use are so typical, so in tune, ideal, perfect for any new moon. However, the new moon itself takes place exactly in the sign which is the most linked to anything that has to do with manifestation, and let's get something done. Let's achieve something through different means, of course, but the let's do, let's achieve, let's make something real. That's Capricorn. Capricorn's job, Capricorn's specific, Capricorn. That's all. That's so Capricorn. But at the same time, it in a way passively incorporates like Sagittarius as well, because the grand idea came from there, from the Sagittarian realm. Why we should do something or complete something, achieve something. Likewise, the wisdom of what to dump, what to eliminate, what not to invite in the new year. Of course, not everyone makes like a bonfire or like and burns stuff. However, before the new year, in many parts of Europe and England, they are burning, like in the autumn, November, October. There are many symbolic dates where you burn stuff. Samhain, Halloween, the funeral pyre and stuff is just one of them. So even that was already part of the picture. Again, how very symbolic, how very coincidental. So it's almost like we have this new moon gifted to us by being so ideal. And let me add another layer of ideal to this. Not everyone is, how should I say, doing all of these things on the last day, yet alone do they even know what a new moon is from a more philosophical, esoteric, cultural perspective. So you can, however, it is exactly now when we have not just, winter holidays, the spirit of sharing still very much in the air. And many people spend this evening again with family, friends, or pleasure or good is the key word here. So that's already dished up as vibe, as energy, as what goes into the new moon, as seed. That's already there by default. So it's where this is the time when if you're not into it, doing this in it, you're still advantaged. It's almost like the collective will push you into it automatically. Pluto in Aquarius, well, how should I say, is all about this. The fact that at the new moon, Pluto holds a trine, flowy harmony, blessing with the South Node. The South Node itself is a Plutonian expression of the moon's energy, right? Elimination. It is transformed forever. Or if we have excess of something, we need to do something with it, or it will spoil us, or whatever. Let me give you the easiest way to understand gluttony. The excess of good well-being can cause illnesses, diabetes, and of course lead to death. There you go, the most simplest example. So Pluto helps us not get there, simply said. So when it trines a similar energy to itself, then it rewards big time. So what could this mean? Well, South Node in Libra. Whenever there is a time when something big, powerful, helpful, and usually in a somewhat unconditional way, not conditioned. So Pluto in its best, Pluto in its norm is full of conditions. So the verse doesn't even need to be included. At its best, let me give you the best, easiest way to understand Pluto at its best when it's about power. There is this big, notorious, respected, loved, revered police officer who is both wise, kind, intelligent, sexy, whatever you want, and a child asks him to, I don't know, climb up the tree for a kitten. Well, you can imagine that the policeman, out of Plutonian expression, will immediately execute it and do it, even though it doesn't matter if it rains, what he's doing, if he's at his job or not. If nothing matter, if it rains fire, the police, that specific policeman, we will do the child's game 99%. That's where he is, the South Node in Libra. Pluto is the situation, the innocence, the absolute power in human society, the innocence of a child. But then he himself, the policeman, is also a bit Pluto because he's the epitome of positive power. There you go, a fated setup where, again, understand my police, that notorious, sexy, whatever you want, positive policeman who is the jewel of your community, right? So that is where someone or something in your life, and because it's South Node, this can very well include the past. So X is, if it's a person, but Libra, contract, job, or anything legal that comes back from the past. But again, I must say, it doesn't need to be restricted just to the past. It can be very much present. So something in your life in the context of Libra, right? Relationships. So that's why I said ex or ex job, any contract, legal case, legal situation, a massive decision choice in your life, an option, or anything that you weigh things around, so resulting from that, comes as a forceful blessing, whatever this means for you. Because this can be, well, Pluto, okay, air sign trine, air trine, air, information, information, really. Understand information however you want, speech, communication, digits, blah, 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 right? But depending on where this Pluto, transiting Pluto sits for you personally, it can be like money or power, like muscle. Uh, your something broke, but it's really expensive or really difficult. It's a difficult situation. This is just a fantasy game that we're playing right now. Don't take it as a prediction. Your ex, whatever, it doesn't need to be romantic ex. Your ex or colleague, ex, I don't neighbor, an ex happens to be very either good at it or in it. Like has maybe his livelihood is exactly fixing stuff like that, whatever that may, and he makes it ridiculously cheap for you, just the materials, even the labor is free. And Plutonian situation, if you refuse out of anything moral, honor, shame, pride, the damage is forever. If you accept, it's not just reasonable, but it's like truly destiny. Destiny just bailed you out. And if you have to see it this way for the other feelings to go away. But that also means that this X, well, is like a better being than you. You know what I mean? And that realization in itself holds a great transformative power in anyone's uh, Libra software, all right? Inner Libra software. What does that mean? How we view the value, but not material, but rather philosophically or morally value of other people and fate and how life works. And, we change many times perspectives. We change even like Libra our opinions, even if those are long term. So this type of situation, a transformative help, or if not help, anything that's a blessing. Yet this alone, all that I said has nothing to do directly, technically, from an astrological point of view with the new moon. It's just there in the sky. Of course, it matters, but let's slowly start to shift to the new moon. But the reason why I highlighted this matters. This gives free. You don't need to move a finger, burn a neuron, because it's a trine. So I'm not saying in rejoice necessarily, because I don't want to paint this picture ultra optimistic. What I am saying is that there's power in the sky, and everyone does with that power what they feel like, think, or know best. Because this Pluto also sextiles a power aspect because you need to actively do something here with the sextile with the North Node. So what does that mean? In North Node counts the most because we are achieving something, especially in Aries, the breakthrough or the right path direction. So sextile, you need to embrace the trine, what the trine has to offer. Don't judge it as it comes in order to be a great help. So this needs to be said. Then going directly to the new moon, I would like to begin with the Sabian symbol because the new moon is at 9 degrees and 44 minutes of Capricorn. So we're looking at a 9 to 10 degree Sabian symbol, which represents an albatross feeding from the hand of a sailor. How beautiful! And it does inspire optimism in itself. However, as beautiful as even simple as it may seem, this can be seen in so very many. What does it mean? Albatross feeding from hand, symbol of trust, symbol of the epitome of diplomacy, because they're two species, two different creatures of God that are, well, we can't deny that it's a form of connection and communication and alliance. We cannot deny. It's also very Capricornian symbol because in a way it's wisdom based. The bird knows who to trust. Sailor knows the bird trusts it. End of story. But that's mastery based. It didn't happen just today. It has wisdom behind it, sharing behind it. Because one sailor initiated into this young sailor, or maybe dad, mom, grandpa told stories at home. You get my idea. That's very Capricornian. But at the same time, it can be seen from totally different perspectives, as we cannot judge the albatross that it risks its life because it does so for survival. It does so because the reward is greatly outweighing the risk. There's that side to the Sabian symbol. There's the other side to it where there is more than one way to survive. The albatross can very well hunt and choose to stay away from other, let's say, species. Why not? Even in full knowledge that it will not hurt you, it can simply choose to not trust for the sheer naturality. Natural, not twisted, not illusion, for the sheer naturality not to trust. But it can also choose its intelligence, interpreting nature differently, to trust. Is there right or wrong choice here? No. There is just how do you prefer to survive in the albatross's case? Because the fellow brother albatross who is at the deserted cliff, at the I don't know which deserted location by humans, will of course not have the option to be fed by hand because no one's there to feed. It has no. This albatross, however, who is at the shore or whatever, has the choice. So you see the playfulness and not so direct approach of the Sabian symbol. What is it actually telling us? Because it needs to tell us something, a new moon, we are creating something. Capricorn manifesting something, working. What is the ruler of Saturn? Work, sacrifice, finality, solidify, make it real. And so on. Real. And then you can imagine what is the guidance after all, because it's a symbol, right? Every symbol has its own guidance to it, regardless of what, even a logo, even someone's logo is advisory of what to expect from the person, company, whatever, right? But in an artistic way. The same is true for a symbiont or any symbol. What is it telling us? To, for example, accept something as it comes, even if it comes feeding by hand, in a non-Saturnian way. Saturnian for the sailor, totally non-Saturnian way for the one-sided relationship. But is it though? Because the sailor will definitely tell this to his children, grandchildren, memories, pictures. Imagine what you can do in life with hand feeding a bird. A lot. Painting, song, memory, nostalgia, doing it again, doing it with children, impressing your children, impressing what, you know what I mean. It's a rather valuable small thing in life, especially for souls who are naturally just drawn to the sea in any context. As artists, as people, as tourists, as whatever. So you see, it's a small, not so but how important yet it, how many things you can do with it. So that's why, rather than for me to interpret, why don't we dare to interpret this albatross symbol for ourselves? What does this mean for us? Who are we? Sailor, the albatross, the situation, the message itself. Take it easy, accept help where it comes from. Don't judge it. Uh, in other cases, don't judge your survival. Learn to love it. That's so Capricornian. Learn to love your survival. Learn to love what gives you power, whatever that is. Another way of understanding it, have courage to risk if the reward is worth it. But know thyself for this, right? The albatross. Or the situation of the albatross sailor connection. If your life experience and instinct, deep animalistic instinct tells you, just like for the albatross, that yeah, you can trust. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's real. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, risk. Yeah, you won't get raped or I don't know. Well, then, you know what I mean. It says something to us. And in Capricorn, especially regardless of which area of life this is for, and even if it's 12th house, Capricorn is where something in our lives is real, not necessarily earthly sense, but real in this. It holds a lot of importance to us, and either it's our backbone or it's the weight that our actual backbone carries. So Capricorn is important in even if it's empty, like it's the sign the moment when you were born in your chart, no contains no planets or anything important, so empty in that sense. Um, it's still important. It's still crucial. Because Capricorn is Capricorn. The mid-heaven, top of the sky. The peak of our power, basically, as anything in our life. So, again, going back to the new moon, It holds a lot of power and, dare I say, mystery. Mystery itself is very non-Capricornian. And if we look at the Sabian symbol, even that is the type of mystery, because, animal human bond must be a bit special, you know what I mean? It's not like something totally worthless or average, or it's always a bit special, a bit magical. However, it's part of our lives big time. It's nothing miraculous, right? The same with this new moon. Okay, it's Capricorn. It's a part of, right? However, there is still a mystery to it. There is still more than meets the eye, and we're wise to also embrace that side. Now, where does this come from? It holds one of its more important aspects is that it holds a quincunx with Jupiter. Not very exact. However, Jupiter in Gemini. For the mind, mental sphere, direct perception is weird. Like, it's not something straightforward, logical, rational, very easy to understand, whatever this means. Or imagine the Pluto South Node trine, North Node sextile. That mystic triangle, basically. Help is there, but it blows your mind. The situation itself, your mind stops. Jupiter quincunx the new moon. There can be that. Or where your mind stops first hand and then something really, let's say, opportunistic is born out of that, or it leads you to something opportunistic exactly because your logic stopped there and then. And that means instinct, albatross. Right? When logic stops, what else takes the place? Emotion in some cases, instinct, intuition. So no problem. When logic stops is not a big problem. We have backup navigation systems. So you know what I mean? So because logic stops, let that not be a problem. Let that be actually an opportunity. Chaos can be constructive, creative. The symbol of Aries. Remember her always. Creational chaos. North Node in Aries. When strongly pumped up and activated, being trined by the ruler of Aries actually does that in retrograde. So Mars in Leo at 2 degrees. Well, yes. The North Node is very emphasized by the other planet, by these planets that I mentioned. That's opportunity, that's good, that's positive, let's use it. We're sailing. And when I say we're sailing, in a few weeks even, or days even, I wanna say, when the North Node goes back to zero Aries, because it moves backwards, always. To zero Aries, that's already 29 of Pisces. So it's already in water, Pisces, and it prepares us for the North Node stay in Pisces for the next 18 months. Water, sailing. So life will feel like sailing. In Aries, it felt like, well, marathon, survival, the craze of it all and having to be okay. For some people, due to Chiron being very active, well, there's another part of Aries. When Aries is wounded, it lays low and sleeps, and it lays low and regenerates. For some, unfortunately, the dynamic, active Aries season, instead of the adventure, might have been the healing down. For others, still, the Aries North Node might have been like, well, what's out there is so tumultuous, I can't use the opportunity and energy that I'm receiving from Aries. That's also okay, because what's good about Aries, it doesn't really, it stores it. The frustration, the anger, the inertia that tortured you, the energy of it at the right moment when you will be sailing, it will use, it will be a fuel for you. It will make you be able to steer your boat how you want it. You don't need sails. You have a power, the propulsion, mechanical propulsion of the boat. You have automatically a quick modern boat. For most of us, especially those who were in big survival mode in Aries North Node season, for those it's sails and the wind determines where you go and how you go, and you're going with the flow, sailing. That's why I'm emphasizing sailing. For others, still, you're sailing but traveling, let's say, on the river rather than on the ocean. So you have power boat, but also phases where you go with canoe, then cruise ship, relax, then especially in England where they have those canal type of boat living. I don't even know how, like, boat houses, or, but it's a boat. It's just that used as a house and it's always on the canal. There's also how fun, how magical, how, even if it, even for people who don't like it, the discomfort is magical in itself. Even if it's discomfort and I don't like it, but even that is magical, right? So this is how to envisage the upcoming 18 months, depending on how you experienced the past 18 months that are just passing. The last day of the year is symbolic even in this sense, right? How very opportunistic this new moon is, a gift. So going back to the North Node, we're gonna be sailing. So this aspect is giving us everything we need, right? The skills, the preparation, we're gonna go with the flow. So let us know how to master it. And like a surfer, as best as we can. But again, I go back. This is the last empowerment that this North Node receives in the sign of Aries because it's exiting. Let's use the opportunity wisely, especially that the Pluto aspects help us get an energy or confidence or faith or power or some kind of boost from the collective. Doesn't matter how. For some people, it's friends pushing them. Really, I might be one of those souls who is pushed by other souls who I owe a lot to. But you might also be, or family, or boyfriend, girlfriend, or children, or there can be a very strong motivational pushing force for everyone, whatever that means for them. Now let's get to the weirdness of this all, because okay, it's still 2024, so the Neptunian mysteries, but the bad side of it, like UFOs and weird drones, and continues. It holds certain squares with other planets. And these are minor planets, planetoids. So this in itself holds a kind of, we must really get it right, but the invisible side of it, not the typical Capricorn mastery, know-how, strength, force, endurance, whatever, but the invisible, the frequency, the right attitude, the right inner subjective setup even. Let me first mention the main planets that square it. From Libra, there at 11 Libra, there is Makemake, a creational deity linked to the mysterious Easter Isle, right? A creational, primal, almost by its nature alien deity. It's full of mystery. How I would interpret this square, sometimes we need to work even with what we do not usually trust, the alien factor. I don't mean, by no means do I want to say, let's work with aliens, the alien here is just a symbol. If that is what it means to you, no problem. Oh, absolutely fine. But I use it as a symbol where alien can be the way my weird neighbor does this and that, and it works for them. And I tried everything else. I'm desperate enough to do that. I don't know. My weird neighbor uses some kind of plant medicine as a cure for something which it shouldn't cure. And I happen to have the same problem. I'm definitely gonna try it. I don't care how weird it is. There you go. Or the same situation, but my weird neighbor went to the witch doctor, and I don't care if I don't believe in that, or even if I'm anti, I'm gonna definitely a type of situation like this where what I usually don't necessarily trust, but this doesn't mean mistrust. Just don't trust. Because I don't know. This time around, can I use it? Should I use it? Etc., etc., etc. I wanted to give another, but I'd rather not. Let's move to the other side of the square. Actually, no, let's stay in Libra still, because there is an asteroid as well, Arachne. I love this. This was always one of my favorite legends and symbols, and in a even dark and twisted way, because it really shouldn't be, from early childhood. So the maiden doomed and cursed, the virgin maiden. In other legends, it's actually not a maiden, but a crone. But anyway, an oracle. In other, but either way, even if it's a maiden or a crone, the virgin, the persona itself holds power, importance, or something very special and unique in the larger context of the legend. But let's not get into the details, because only the symbol counts. So she is sitting in the middle of a spider web type of labyrinth, where she's eternally guarded by in certain versions of the legend, her husband being the spider transformed by the gods as punishment. In other versions of the legend, it's, now this is where there are more versions, so I don't even know which to mention. Family member, let's just call it like that. where the family member actually protects the but in every case the hero must defeat the spider in order to free or even have a consultation or to meet the maiden or crone or whoever it is in the middle. And that's it. That's it in the sense of what I want to say, the symbol. Imagine the situation of Arachne. All of us are Arachne, and the web is the mind, thoughts, and the spider is the mind, right? The ego mind. Not the mind in it, the ego mind. Who guards that Arachne within us and guarded it for years? But what or who is Arachne in your situation? Your heart, romance. No person in this incarnation could actually find the way to your heart yet. And you're, I don't know, 50 and it's starting to be sad. One situation. Or is that Arachne where you have an ultra talent, but your shyness makes it impossible for you to do anything with it? Your spirit is so artistic that you make, I don't know, well, insert Picasso feel a bit shy about himself, his own imagination skills, but you have some kind of ADHD or something that makes it literally impossible for you to start and express that. Or you're any type of genius or lost case in your life. So Arachne, guided by the spider, Saturn, right? The spider, the monster, Saturn somewhere. Others would say, well, dude, isn't it Scorpio, Pluto, rather? Okay, no worries. That goes perfectly too, right? We can play with symbols, no problem, because ultimately spider is a lower expression of Scorpio. So you're absolutely right if you thought this. But in any situation, both Scorpio or challenge, trial, not very easy. The hidden, if you want Scorpio, right? If you want Saturn, then you might pay the ultimate price for believing in yourself that you could do it. However, Arachne's symbol ties in exactly with the reward risk correlation. Is it worth it? Is it worth the risk? Or do I truly believe in myself? Am I truly real? Because if not, why should I even dare to go near the spider's lair? Why? However, if I really mean it, I can honestly, realistically have a satisfactory chance to defeat the spider. So then, of course, I am going to try. This is the way I see Arachne's symbol in Libra. The good call. Whatever that means for you. But also the new moon. It may not free you as a promise and guarantee, Jupiter quincunx. That may just be an allure or an illusion. However, maybe the experience and trying has unforeseen rewards. But the same goes if it's stupid, don't do it. That's simple. If everything kind of shows that it's stupid, if everything shows that you have arachnophobia, it doesn't matter how powerful hero you are, you will not win. You can have any weapon given by the gods. which would guarantee the a 5-year-old child victory. However, your arachnophobia opens you up to chaos in such a big way that your chances are realistically below 50%. They're still high, but knowing your arachnophobia, you're in trouble. Don't do it. Even if the gods give you the, don't do it. No better. You, right? But chances are this is not your situation. But there is always that 1% where the symbol of Arachne warns you that it's way outside of your league. Don't dream way too big. And this is where you get what I mean. Don't go all in. Just test the waters first. Especially if it's a free opportunity to try something out. Try it out. Don't go head in deep. But then there is the other side of the square, Salasha. And I use Salasha quite often, so I think my listeners know her. Wife of Neptune. So she's at 9 degrees of Aries. So the square with Salasha is very tight. Well, Salasha has darker side, in Aries. Let me just give you the straight on example. I desire something so much to the level of obsession where I'm already hallucinating with it. The desert and the traveler and seeing the oasis that isn't there. Or in cartoons, especially in the 80s, 70s, where I don't know, either Tom and Jerry or whatever are so hungry or thirsty or insert whatever horny that they see everything either as a piece of meat, a hot chick, or a fountain of water, or Salasha can very well be that, where you don't judge anymore, you just go for it. This is the type of situation where, let's say that you lose your mind and go for anything that has anything that moves. Your best friend may laugh at it and slap you in a friendly way and hold on a minute, but steroid packed bodybuilder might not just slap you with humor, but really break your body and send you to the hospital. You know what I mean? Or, better said, let me give you a better example. When women get so angry that rage stops their judgment. Well, slapping the type of man who you know is probably gonna call you crazy and walk away, or call the police on you, is one type of I dish my crazy out. But don't try it with. Now, I don't want to be I discriminatory or labels or judgmental in any way, but don't try it with other types of men who have warning signs literally written on their body. Like certain type of that. Don't do that, because then you're dead. And in court or in hospital, won't matter that you're a woman and women's right or what this gesture says about the man, because it doesn't. No, 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 no. This is where you're dealing with a rabid animal. It is no different than slapping a bear. Like, this is what I mean. There is the situation where you can go crazy and really get your point across. But that's the other situation where you do the exact same thing and you're dead. This is what I mean. This is Salasha. The same mirage sometimes equals a laugh and I sure got my point across, and or in other circumstances certain death. So we must see through the mirage just enough to be able to determine before we start chasing it if it's a deadly danger, right? The trapdoor spider in nature, or those plants who lure insects to their certain doom with their pollen and nice scent and stuff like that. So we must that's the only strength we need here. Because if we immediately see the danger, we're gonna turn around and the Fata Morgana is done and dusted. But if we see that it's a play of the universe, then we won't care and we'll chase it with confidence, knowing that we're safe. And the worst case scenario is gonna lead us to laughter and humor. So this is very, very important. Other energies that are part of this is, well, at 9 degrees of Pisces, which means a sextile, uh, there is asteroid Iris, divine messenger, intuition, sextile. What does your soul say? What does your unconscious dreams? Dreams, either your own or of your loved ones who share them with you. And if we necessarily want to include Saturn, it sextiles the new moon, and Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn, hence the ruler of the new moon. This couldn't be more opportunistic. Again, Fata Morgana. Because Saturn sextiles, we make something real. Knowing that it's a deadly danger is all we need not to chase disillusion, and rather use the energy of this new moon and Saturn in a different way. However, when we know that the divine is guiding us somewhere, but outside of our mind's understanding, then we follow the game. And then we get somewhere really, really nice. What is Iris telling you? To follow it, or it's a trap. Wake up, it's a trap. Right? And other two energies are conjunct the new moon, the sun and the moon. One of them is Quaoar, another trans-Neptunian object, a planetoid. Another masculine creational deity, similar to Meki, just that it's the creational god of a tribe in the Americas, if I'm not mistaken. Indigenous people in Africa, if I'm not mistaken. Regardless, it's linked with dance, music, the self-expression through art, but physical art. The body is part of it. Creating through our own essence, the expression of our essence. So Quaoar is a powerful symbol, very powerful indeed. And the other energy is an asteroid Centaur, Pholus, curiosity. But Pholus ties in with everything so synchronistically. What does curiosity do? Either it gets you killed like it did Pholus, or it leads you to new adventures and greater knowledge and understanding. Pholus itself is a very benevolent and nice centaur like Chiron. He's a healer like Chiron. He helps usually like Chiron. He was Hercules' buddy. And at one moment, legends here vary, so I'm gonna tell you the version that I usually resonate with the most. He studied a poison arrow because one of his patients died from it. And it was the venom of a hydra, if I'm not mistaken. And he thought, how could such a very small dart, like just a simple little needle, instantly kill someone? And he stabbed himself by accident. In other versions, he was away. He actually went all his curiosity led him all the way that, well, I'm a healer. If I can't heal this, well, what kind of healer am I? And yeah. So the duality of Pholus is example. The good guy, the nice guy, the smart guy. And yet, the greatest minds, and Pholus, the masculine example, will have moments when they're just a 6-year-old child. Don't put your the finger into the, right? Even divine healers will have a moment in their lives when they're a 6-year-old child. There's that, but there's the other side that let's not be all that rigid where curiosity can't even touch us, because then our inner child is, then why aren't we just robots then? The other side of it, Pholus, is where, like, let's not take adulting divinely seriously, because adulting is exclusively a 3D game that is forced upon it's not natural to the human spirit and soul. Proof of this: dogs, seals, dolphins, cats. Most mammals who have a really playful interaction with humans never ever lose their playfulness truly. So that that's natural. The child in you is natural. The adult is what you switch to at certain points in life when it's hard. But then you have to switch it off. You have to. Our species, for what, I don't know what, I not fully in understanding of this yet. These 40 years have not been enough for me to to be able to justify to myself why I'm an adult. They think that we should live like that all the time because it's useful, or Saturn, right? That's Saturn. So, but then there came Neptune, right? And Neptune, ever since it got discovered and integrated into astrology somewhere in the 1800s-ish. But this is where the moment it was integrated can't even be named, because how do you name it? So ish, everything is ish. Really demonstrated to our species that, yes, Saturn, but even Saturn is just a role play. Even Saturn is just the role play daddy. Let's not confuse it with real daddy. Right? And this, in any way, shape, and form, from religion to social, cultural, anything, right? So, technology. Um, there's this side to Pholus where adulting is not always the right, uh, I don't necessarily want to say right choice, but from a divine perspective, the right modus operandi to do certain things in life. So again, Capricorn, Pholus in Capricorn, curiosity, where it leads you. For some things in life, there's no textbook, no mastery, nothing, and no one can prepare you. Hence, Capricorn. No go, Capricorn. Yet Capricorn is still Capricorn, so it has to do it. But the only way is exactly that. Try it out for yourself, and if it don't kill you, all good. Let me give you yet more examples of this. The biggest alpinists that climbed the Mount Everest or any other very impossible mountain, they survived until that specific fated trip. And usually the trips that made them embrace the mountain forever, integrated their beings into the mountain, were not even difficult ones. Fate and the love story with the mountain. But that's what I mean. Ignoring those trips, which was the last, right? The last union. The first, well, that was where their curiosity got them there and they triumphed and they opened the path for everyone else. And literally, that person, regardless of the mountain and the year when it was accomplished, was the first human being in flesh and body who met the mountain. You know what I mean? That is big. That matters a lot. Very much so. Again, this is the way to envisage and to use this Capricorn new moon's energy because it's big. It can give us the right setup to have one big, massive power up moment, hence the cardinal T square, with all these quantum planetoids. All of these minor little helpers, the elves and the gnomes. Well, actually, this is where I didn't do them justice. Because elves and gnomes, but as we step further and further, deeper and deeper into the energy of Aquarius, they reveal themselves more and more and more as giants. Because Pluto is the first alpinist in their sense. The most notorious, the first, the only, the original, and the misunderstood, mistreated, even in astronomy. Pluto, their king, basically, symbolically speaking. And even many of them are Plutinos. So Pluto-like copies of some, like Orcus, physically almost copy of Pluto. The same type of system, stuff like that. But anyway, these dwarf planets over time will have the same strength, will develop the same strength as Pluto, because Pluto is only as powerful and their king and stronger than any other energy, let's say in astrology. Even those which, from a Ptolemaic perspective, should be much more powerful, like Sedna, and still Pluto is the strongest, is because we are in stages of our evolution when Pluto is the strongest, when we cannot step beyond Pluto in a realistic way, only gaze with a, I don't know, periscope or some kind of scope of what's there and see and envisage the rest. We are yet to be able to get into the trans Pluto realms of these other outer planets. So for now, they're like newborn babies. They can't do anything yet. They're important. They're all that special, like a newborn baby. But what can a newborn baby do other than sleep and maybe cry a little bit, maybe smile, okay? But other than that, a newborn baby, when it's only a few days old, this is how to envisage the energy of these planets. It's just a glimpse. It is just their first smile, their first cry. Their full extent when they'll be an adult is hundreds of years. Maybe not 100, because Pluto didn't need 100 years, did it? In a certain way, Pluto dethroned Saturn quite quickly in its hardcore reality and let's make things painfully real sense. Pluto showed a higher level of cruel imagination than Saturn if we want to necessarily look at history. Given the fact that we cannot include Pluto until its actual discovery. This is why many astrologers do this, but I personally think that it's only so much relevant because if you look at ages when Pluto was not included in astrology, its effect was so shadowy that you couldn't really distill it. You can't distill it. How can you name that this was Pluto when Pluto was so in our unconscious, even collectively, that we could not dig it up? No one, not even the grand Rasputin. Actually, Pluto was already in exist. Pluto was okay. I think I got to a point where I don't even know. Because wasn't Rasputin in the very end of the 1800s and the very beginning of the 9th? Isn't that when he lived? Because if it was, then Pluto can already be considered active, even if it wasn't to the day integrated in astronomy yet. Anyway, sorry for this. For this error does not compute my own speech. But what I want to say is that before Pluto was actually in our collective awareness and consciousness, no one could dig it up, not even the biggest mystic or science person or the most brilliant mind, because Pluto was not. A channeler could, but only because if Pluto had something to say. You know what? If a channeler could, it wasn't due to the channeler, it was due to Pluto. So it still doesn't count. The fact that many suspected Pluto, that does not mean he's there. It's not there. So the same goes for the other outer Plutinos out there, and any other trans-Neptunian object which is not just a small, insignificant, tiny piece of rock, but is something like a system or does something. All of them will grow in power in the next. I can't even, this is where I can't even anticipate, because astrology, like any other branch of science, dare I say, can quantum leap in a day. One of us, and you guys included, so I'm not saying astrologers, anyone who has astrology in their lives can just dream up something tomorrow and change astrology as we know it forever. The Sabian symbols themselves are pure channeled work. Pure channeled work. And their true brilliance is only coming to light now. And what do I mean? We're only living them now in a larger sense than when they were channeled. So you can imagine how many times our fantasy, if dare I call it that, can be gold for future generations. However, this is the age of Aquarius. So all what I said can also happen from one day to the next. Because everything is quantum. With this being said, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for all the love, all the support all through the year. This is the last new moon and last day of the year, so I would like to really express my heartfelt gratitude and appreciation for every single comment, every single like, every single dislike, because I need that. I really, really need that, maybe more than likes. And all the kindness, all the love that you guys shared with me. Thank you again. Until next time, bye for now.